So it's a difficult catch-22 for us, which is why we really have to remain Advent focused. We have to keep our focus on the fact that Christ is coming and that there's a new kingdom being formed. Another one says the wall between churches and state will be broken down and Protestant American Christians will look to the Pope. Then investing the church with the power of the state will bring evil results. Men have almost passed the point of God's forbearance. They have invested their strength in politics and have united with the papacy. But the time will come when God will punish those who have made void his about God's love for you and why you can't protest Rome and then be into all of the political nitpicking that we see in the United States. Evangelical works better. Evangelical Christians have been drawing closer together in recent years, according to a new book that explores growing influence of Christian voters. Notice, it's all about politics. This is how the beast is really going to work in the United States to get these Sunday laws passed. Dale Hudson, the executive director of the Morley Institute for Church and Culture in Washington, D.C., age-old grievances have gradually receded to the point where Christians from various denominations have joined together to resist secular assaults on shared values. Onward, Christian soldiers, the growing political power of Catholics and evangelicals in the United States. Could Ellen G. White have written that any better, what she wrote, and when you look at what is written in one of the headlines from a little over a year ago? Yet people say she has, she's not a prophet. She doesn't have, God didn't work with her, blah, 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 blah. I don't know how you get that but a lot of those people don't read her writings. That's part of the reason why they don't see it. Protestant churches will unite and influence the state to enforce their beliefs. Ellen White says, when the churches of our land, uniting upon such points of faith as are held by them in common, shall influence the state to enforce their decrees and sustain their institutions, then will Protestant America have formed an image of the Roman hierarchy. This is why when they want to put the 10 Commandments up in buildings and they're fighting for some of the things, we have to really be careful. We are in a catch-22 as Seventh-day Adventists. On the one hand, we don't like the very liberal onslaught on society that destroys marriage and righteousness and good moral principles. But on the other hand, we know that we have to be careful when we start trying to support the legislation of moral issues and moral things and even biblical things, because we understand that once that train starts out of the gate, it's going to be hard to get that train back. And so we're in a catch-22, because in essence, I can agree with much of what the conservative right-wing Americans believe on moral issues. I don't believe we should have gambling parlors everywhere, medical marijuana clinics, rampant abortion going on in our country. But I know that the more, if I jump on that bandwagon and we push that train is going to stop at a Sunday law. That's the station it's going to pull into. So it's a difficult catch-22 for us, which is why we really have to remain Advent focused. We have to keep our focus on the fact that Christ is coming and that there's a new kingdom being formed. Another one says the wall between churches and state will be broken down and Protestant American Christians will look to the Pope. Then investing the church with the power of the state will bring evil results. Men have almost passed the point of God's forbearance. They have invested their strength in politics and have united with the papacy. But the time will come when God will punish those who have made void his law, and the evil work will recoil upon themselves. So, you know that she's right when he says that we'd reach out to the Pope, because we've seen it. I watched Laura Bush on CNN with Larry King and her daughter talk about the Holy Father and how blessed he was and how peaceful he was. I mean, she spoke as if she had met Christ himself. Laura Bush, and the Bushes are, theoretically at least, Protestant. His brother is a Catholic, the former governor of Florida, Jeb Bush. But here you can see, there's a strong, he's with the rabbi, here he is with the president of the United States. Barack Obama's already met with the Pope as well in Rome. So, people get this big thing between the different presidents. You're just changing puppets. If you're not, you got to be politically savvy enough. If there was a huge change coming, we would no longer be in Afghanistan and Iraq. You could pull troops out anywhere if you want to. It's not that different. There's some subtle differences between the two parties, but they're not huge differences. And one of the ways that you know that is, he is a fixture in all of them. There's not been a president that doesn't go and make sure that the Pope of Rome is happy. whoever the Pope happens to be at that time. So Benedict gave a resounding endorsement of the role of religion in democratic society today. The need for global solidarity is as urgent as ever in an age of extremism and terror. So they used the war on terror to do this. The pontiff was greeted on the White House lawn by the President George Bush, plus a 21-gun salute and a serenade from a world-class opera singer. Bush gave an address that rang through with conservative political ideas, saying the United States needed the Pope's